Well, with Bowie as HOH for the first day and a half of her HOH, she fought very hard to kind of try and make her own decision, even though Bowie has continued to be a player who has never wanted to make decisions in this game. She tried to hold strong for the first day and a half as HOH, but over the next day and a half, Friday night into Saturday, yesterday, Bowie could not hang on anymore, and it's because most of the house decided to tell her that Cameron needs to go, and Bowie has been a player who has wanted to be told what to do in this game and wanted to feel like she is in a majority, so this was the right decision to make. Matt and Jag and Corey and America being the main four going to Bowie to try and push her into this decision. Now, there is some irony here with Jag so involved in this. Jag, who is the person that went on for weeks about how people were bullying him in this game. And for the past few weeks, he has been the main one trying to strong arm people into decisions. And he was very gung-ho about the house all going up to Bowie and making her do this. So, the big hypocrisy from Jag continues as we move along here. Now, I don't think what they did was bullying by any sense of the imagination, but from what Jag was saying earlier this season, he should think that this was bullying because that's what he was going on and on about. But it does seem to be working for Bowie that she would put up Cam if the veto were to be used, and Jag won yesterday's veto, and he will likely be taking down Cirie, even though Cirie is doing one of her spirals and wants him to take down Felicia. I think it's because Felicia feels some type of way about Cirie being the safe one all the time and not her, and I think that Cirie is having to work with Felicia again, which just spells bad news for both of them, because as we saw early in the season when it was Felicia and Cirie and Izzy all working together, it became nothing but a paranoia shit show. And I feel like them together again, it's kind of happening already. But that's what Cirie has been boxed into doing in working with Felicia. Now, Cam spent a long time trying to convince Bowie to put up Corey. This all happened before the house tried to make this decision for Bowie. And Bowie it seemed like she was coming around to it there for a while. But once, the rest of the house is telling her to put up Cam, Bowie's going to do what the house wants to do because Bowie doesn't have a game. She hasn't had a game this whole time. It's funny because I in my last video, I saw some Cam supporters talking about how, Bowie feels safe with Cam. She shouldn't put up Cam, and trying to be mad at me for telling y'all that Bowie isn't playing and that she's just there and she's a boring player. And now look at Bowie now. She is going to put up Cam because she's not playing her own game. And a lot of that is Cam's fault, though, because Cam's social game this entire game has been one giant struggle. And he has, even coming back to the game, being safe from a production twist, he comes back in and still doesn't work on his social game. So, Bowie doing this to Cam, it fits her game, or her lack thereof game there. Let's talk about Matt and Jag a bit more because I see people wanting to praise Jag's game now, and I still don't see it. Sure, Jag has been doing a lot of strong arming, and in strong arming people, it seems like people listen to him, sure, but it was actually Matt who had to sit down with Jag for hours and convince Jag that it was the right decision to get rid of Cam this week. So there has been a lot of times where Matt does give in to Jag's repeating himself and his torture tactics of not stopping and just continuing to say the same thing over and over to try and get his way. Yeah, of course Matt gives into that because Jag's so friggin' annoying about it. But as a whole, when it actually comes to these smart decisions, I think Matt is the one that comes up with those smart decisions. And then Jag goes and uses his torture tactics with other people in the house. So I still think Matt's playing a better game than Jag, to say the least. And, I mean, Jag was also voted out of this game unanimously, much like Cam. And Corey is still respecting Matt's game more than Jag's, and that's Corey's words and not mine. And Corey is the same person who still thinks that Jag needs to go sooner rather than later. So Jag's in the similar spot to Corey, where Corey continues to be a face of some of these moves that have been made in this house, which grows his target. But if Corey makes the end, should also make him have a good resume if the people in the house are giving him credit for that. Although I do feel like there is people in the house like Jag and Matt who try and go around and say that Corey is basically not responsible for some of these moves. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense because Corey's an easy scapegoat for the moves, but then they also want to go around and say that he is not the one that has power in the house or making moves. And I don't know if they could have that both ways, but I also am not sure how the jury will see Corey if he were to make the end. I guess Jag is in a similar spot where he is going around the house and making his ideas known, even if they're not totally his ideas, and kind of putting himself as a face of that. But I still feel like if Jag makes the end, that because he was voted out unanimously, that's going to be a big check against him, I would think. I mean, I would hold that against him personally, but we don't know what these dummies, who knows. Blue, for the last few weeks now, Blue has almost been the target. Her name has been dragged through the mud by everyone, and she always seems to be everyone's possible, plan in their back pocket to put her up and get her out. That's what Bowie was saying earlier this week, that if somebody comes off the block, then Blue's the one that should go. As of right now, though, if Cam is the plan and Bowie gives into that plan, then Blue once again escapes being the target. And I think that has a lot to do with her social game, which I think has improved so much from the beginning. Now she is still as sloppy as everyone else, however, when it comes to these things. But she has grown on me the most, to say the least, from where we were at the beginning of this game, where she was a total non-player and non-entity. And I think that she has become far more likable than she was at the beginning. Of course, America and Corey stans hate her because, I don't know, because she shit talks them and she's after Corey, even though she has plenty of game reasons to be after Corey. And I mean, Corey and America stans, we should know how I feel about them by this point. America did finally decide to stop her flirting game with Cam now that it seems like he's going home, and she's basically avoiding Cam, and Cam hates that, and Cam's upset that he can't get any alone time with America because she's always with Corey, and Cam has felt weird about those two being in their little showmance this whole time as it is. The biggest thing with America here is that nobody is ever going to respect her game. Every single thing she does, there's no respect for it. And why should there be any respect for her game? She hasn't done anything. She did worse in a physical competition than Felicia yesterday in the veto. So it's not like she's good in competitions. She's not good at a whole bunch of anything. And the fact that she wants to go to the end with Corey is a person not playing to win the game. As I keep saying a lot these past several videos, how most of this cast, if not all of this cast, doesn't seem to want to actually win the game. And America's another one. Instead, we just have to talk about how America and Corey are officially boyfriend and girlfriend. Whoop-de-doo, the crazy stans can be happy. I don't think anyone else cares, however. Let's just talk about Cam a little more before we end this video, because last week he should have put up Corey, and I talked about how he should have put up Corey. And no matter the reason as to why he changed his mind, the fact that he said so much last week that he felt in his gut it was the right move means he should have done it. You always want to go with your gut in these games. He didn't. Did production talk him out of it. I think they had a big part in talking him out of that move last week, as I talked about in that video, where it seemed like every time he came back from the DR, it's when he felt uneasy about making the move to put up Corey, despite feeling it in his gut that he should put up Corey. So Cam has nobody to blame but himself. I mean, he could blame production, but production is the reason he's back in this game in the first place. Production giveth, production taketh away, in Cam's case here, if he does end up on the block as the big target. But it's also why I've been talking about this whole, we need to keep so many shields in the game. It doesn't make sense to have all these shields in the game. So him not putting up Corey and coming up with this plan, or listening to Jag and Matt, who are dumb in this game as well, about needing all these targets. If Cam was actually as good as a player as he could have been and decided not to be last week, he would have put up Corey anyway, because you don't need all these shields in the game. And that's the reason he can easily go home this week. If they got rid of Corey last week, are Jag and Matt gonna get rid of Cam this week? Because Cam is kind of the big shield for everyone. You know, we've seen players play like this on Survivor. They want to be the shield because a bunch of people are not going to want them out right away. In Cam's case, keeping around several shields never made sense, because he was never going to have the social game to make his target any smaller. So big mistakes from Cam last week, and he deserves to go home this week if he does. If Cam is the first juror, I don't know how he's going to be. Maybe we'll talk about this more in coming videos if he does end up on the block. I just wonder if he will respect Corey's game if Corey makes the end, because he's so anti-Corey right now. I feel like Cam will vote for the person who gets out Corey, or who he feels responsible, who is responsible for getting out Corey, or the person in the final two who had the most responsible for getting out Corey. That is where Cam would stand as a juror as of now, in my opinion.